Okay, let's start over here this time. Greg, what do you think?
So we have coronal view. Oh, sorry. 22-year-old male acute on chronic cricket injury fell catching a ball. Uh,
This is darn crickets.
so initial MRI reported as possible neoplasm. So we have multiple views, coronal views. So along the inferior aspect, or along the proximal humerus, there's heterogeneous signal intensity. Um, Looks like it's possibly separate from the humerus. Okay, so now we have multiple axial views. So along that kind of anteromedial aspect of the humerus, we again see this heterogeneous signal intensity lesion. Um, is it kind of what muscle is inserting
Okay,
there?
so we're down below, low, which we're kind of talking about some of these muscles before. That's probably the biceps tendon here.
Mm-hmm.
So we know if it's a pectoralis, it's going to go over the biceps. What were the two tendons that inserted kind of medial to the biceps?
Was it the teres
Teres,
major and the latissimus?
latissimus dorsi.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this kind of, what does this look like?
Almost looks like kind of it's like a bony avulsion.
Okay, and there we can see more images like there. Here, this is what it looks like on the sagittal down here. So what do you think happened here?
Um,
Here's a CT.
yeah, so the CT looks like there's a bony avulsion of the humerus, an old chronic injury.
Right. Good. And then there. So this was a subacute on top of chronic major tug lesion at the teres major insertion, that area. Um, and it's a fracture through where the old teres major insertion was, where they had prior injury with hypertrophic bone formation to heal it. Remember, it's the bone that heals into the tendon. And if you have chronic recurrent injuries, then sometimes you can get a lot of hypertrophic bone formation as the body attempts to heal it, but the patient attempts to re-tear it. Okay?
All right, so we have a 28-year-old MLB pitcher with inferior shoulder pain. Uh, hmm, Not seeing a whole lot. There may be some edema kind of there. Yeah, yeah, some more fluid signal. Yeah, yeah. Is that the teres major again? Or latissimus dorsi?
Well, it's going kind of horizontal, not going really up and down. So this is primarily the teres major, but there was also a little bit tracking down from latissimus dorsi as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Left shoulder pain. Okay. So do we have a tear of the trapezius?
Yeah, great one. Straight into the trapezius muscle tear. Okay. Unable to lift arm. What's jumping at me is is there some signal in the deltoid? Or no, is that I think that's just part of maximal retraction must be to an section of signaling through here. Actually, if we went from, see. So it probably does have a supraspinatus tendon tear. Maybe that could cause it to not be able to do that. Okay. There's also actually a lot of edema down in this area. So if we look down here, here they have some. Yeah, we see
edema around the biceps tendon. I see a tendon tear that's displaced medially. Is that the pec major?
That's the pec major too. Okay, so this is pec major. And so the question, the reason we do these is this surgical or non-surgical?
This is surgical because only the tendon is involved.
Good. So it looks like the tendon is torn off the bone,
Mm.
and that's a fixable lesion. If the tear has anything to do with the muscle, then you can't really sew it very much, and it's not really a surgical lesion. Good.
And that biceps was dislocated as well.
I don't know. And there, the biceps looks okay. I think the biceps is okay here.
Okay.
I think that's all edema from the tear of the pec.
Shoulder pain after injury in Australian football game. So 2 axial images.
So people complain about American football, but a lot more injuries in Australian rules football, and as well as rugby in Australia.
That's rugby. And I think, having seen football and rugby both, rugby is produce more injuries than football.
Yeah. Good.
So it looks like we're kind of more inferior to the
Okay.
glenohumeral joint, or maybe maybe right at the level of the glenoid. There medially, it looks like there's increased fluid signal and edema within the muscle.
Okay.
It looks
What muscle is that?
so. It looks like it's the muscle right below the pec major. So it looks. I guess it's the pec minor. I would assume.
Well, let's see. Okay. So, well, let's go on here. So here's what it looks like on the sagittal plane. So what's the relationship with the pec major and the pec minor?
Well, the pec minor is deep to the pec major, right?
Okay, and it attaches where?
Attaches to. Is that attached to the glenoid?
Well,
Coracoid process.
Coracoid
yeah,
process.
the coracoid process right here. See, you can see the edema going right up to the
Okay.
coracoid process. So this is a pectoralis minor tear, and this just shows and attaches to the rib cage here, and heads up and attaches to the coracoid process.
Surprising that the biceps is not injured.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop here, and John, you're gonna have to log in, I think, again, in this tape.